I'd say in Africa where mental health is no longer a taboo. Yeah, and the perception towards mental health will be quite different, and that's where we'll have like a richer generation. Yeah, because we get to, focus on our well-being, mental health spaces, making sure we're okay in all rounds, and also we get to also change the African narrative. We get to redefine it and rewrite our history.
In an Africa that one has reached its full potential as a continent, it will be an Africa where you won't have to go elsewhere to look for opportunities. You'll create opportunities right where you are. It will be an Africa where we have young people who are bold, audacious, courageous, young people who just stand up, come up with solutions that will be generational, not just for when they will be in office, but solutions that will impact generations and generations to come.
You say ladies first?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Hi, so my name is Precious, but a lot of people call me Kimi, and I'm from Youthing Africa. I'm also the head of Youthing Ambassadors, and it's really nice to be here.
My name is Johnson. Oh, hi guys. My name is Johnson. Many people call me Johnson. I don't have a nickname. I'm also from Youthing Africa, and I'm in charge of podcasts and Youthing podcast, and I'm so happy to be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've heard two things about youthing. There's youthing ambassadors and there's youthing podcast.
Youthing podcast, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe briefly, under 2 minutes, maybe tell us what youthing is, what you do, where can we find you, social medias, do you have a physical address?
Youthing Africa is an organization that started way back in 2018. Back then we were focused so much in the digital space, and before we rebranded, we were known as Youthing Magazine. So we focused on writing articles, publishing articles, and now our Youthing Magazine that we're touching on technology, agriculture, governance, just matters concerning the youth. It was just a digital space, but we decided to now reconnect with our audiences, or rather connect with the audience now physically, to create that bond, that connection in real time. And that's when we now rebranded to Youthing Africa. Now, Youthing Africa, we still maintain the digital space, but right now we are even focused on doing what we were doing in the past, but now physically now. Aside from that, we also link young people with opportunities, be it in tech, agriculture, etc. And we are focused on ensuring that our generation is empowered and just inspired to do and become what they want to do. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's okay. So just a quick icebreaker question before we dive into our conversation.
Shoot.
Okay, so you said shoot, then I don't know, in my mind has just drifted to US and there's a shooting that happened. But okay, just with that, if you had a youth survival kit for life in Africa, or if you were to create a youth survival kit for the youths in Africa today, what three things would you put in? Maybe, i.e., for me, not for me, just a guide, maybe something like social media, maybe a phone, but 3 youth survival kits for the youths in Africa. Yeah, 3 of them.
For me, I'd say establishing space communities for the young people, where they get to maybe focus on their mental well-being, where they get to also interact, form connections. Yeah.
Okay, that's one.
Two more.
Two more. Yeah.
I'd say
there's a community, second.
Okay, I'm thinking maybe
Yeah.
Johnson can tell you this.
That ice is the
I think the first thing I can create as a survival kit would be equipping young people with education and life skills. Africa is the richest in terms of the values that we have here, but there's a lot going on, and we just find that our people are not reaching their full potential in terms of academics. So education and life skills, just knowing how to navigate every space as a young person.
okay.
Number two survival kit would be poverty. And
Poverty.
eradication of poverty. Not really creating poverty,
Okay.
but ensuring that we have streams or even spaces where we can talk about economic development, how to build your own, and startups and all that. And number three will be how to relate with others. Funny thing, I was walking in town today, and there's a certain vendor. Their approach to me was not really. It didn't sit right with me, and I was thinking if maybe they used another different approach, maybe I would have been compelled to listen to them and then we buy from them. So those simple, how to know with relate to people and just to be with people around in your spaces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice one. You have some really good guys because I just don't want you guys to state it, but you have described it. I really used to like guys like you in high school because I've just been given something to no, but if I give you this example, it will be a vice because at the end of it, there's some cheating aspect or element.
Yeah.
But okay, let me not give that example. So, diving into our conversation today, I want us to start with something to do with youth social issues plus something to do with mental health. Definitely, where there are social issues, there's definitely something to do with mental health.
Yeah.
So, and you've been spotlighting stories of young people, youths in Kenya, in Africa, and their everyday struggles, socially, mentally, and so from your perspective, question incoming.
Yeah.
From your perspective,
Drop notes.
yeah, what are the biggest social pressures that African youths are facing and talking about today? The biggest social pressures that we are talking about, that we are facing. Definitely, we are talking about them. We are facing them.
Unemployment. Yeah, because I feel like a majority of us, like I'd say, for instance, myself, I do go to school, but then I have the worry, like, once I'm done, will I get the opportunity to pursue whatever, like, I wanted to pursue in school, or am I ever going to get employed? And the whole connection bit, there are people who lack the connections, so what happens to them? So I feel like that's a social issue that majority of the young people are going through.
I'd say, okay, just to phrase it, everyone knows when they were born, but not everyone knows why they were born. So the issue of purpose and knowing what you really want to do. We've seen, or you'll even find a lot of young people, they don't know their paths and their journeys they want to take. So they start doing what they see others doing online. And it leads to, yes, you might go that path, but it's not your path. So and that comes with a lot of challenges as well. So knowing yourself and knowing your purpose and knowing what you really want to do and what your vision is.
Okay, so what I've got from the two of you, one is unemployment, the other is something to do with social youth, peer pressures, and
Societal expectations.
And societal expectations.
Yeah.
And one thing both of them are likely to lead one is they are likely to affect your mental well-being.
True.
And in your Youthing magazine, I read something to do with mental health, or you have a section to do with mental health stuff and issues.
Yeah.
And which I found it a bit fascinating because it has something to do with men's well-being, and yeah, and definitely I saw something to do with Gen Z navigating some digital stress and all the hassle that comes with the digital spaces.
Yeah.
So question, why do you think mental health still carries a stigma? And why do you think it's still so hard for us as young Africans to talk about it openly?
I feel like how people relate to what mental health is, especially the gap when it comes to the older and the younger generation. The older generation doesn't believe in mental health issues per se. So I feel like now that's where you get the stigma, the trauma. They don't get to understand us as the young people.
When it comes to mental health, one thing, your mental health is your wealth. And it's sad that we live in times where we have changed the phrase "a problem shared is a problem solved" to "a problem shared is a problem that is further shared." You share your problem with someone and then they take it to someone else as
Yeah.
tea. So you'll find that we have even turned into now keeping things to ourselves, knowing I know I'm going through this, but if I share it to someone else, I just end up here, maybe it on radio, the presenter saying, I have a friend of mine who's going through this, and then maybe that friend is yours. Yes, we have spaces that talk about mental health, but there's still that withholding of people that maybe if I share this out, it might not be solved, but it might be shared further. So that component.
Okay. And so, while also going through your Youthing magazine, I saw something to do with storytelling, art, and media. And so, just a quick question: how is Youthing using storytelling, art, or media to break the stigma and to make mental health part of our everyday youthful conversations?
We do have articles. There's an article I published on embracing like your younger dreams and your younger like excitement, and I feel like that plays like a big role when it comes to your mental health, because now you get to channel the inner side of you that you ended up hiding or withholding, because a lot of people might end up judging you, or you don't live your life to the fullest, knowing that you know what, maybe people don't actually care, or maybe I'm just living for this and this for other people's purpose, and then you end up abandoning your mental well-being in the process.
Okay.
When it comes to youthing, one thing that we are doing differently is when it comes to addressing mental health issues and all that, we're not using the professional language. We're using a generational language that relates to young people. Yes, you might be going through something, but you know very well, or you even think that approaching a counselor or a therapist for professional services may not be as impactful as I may see it to be. But having a space where it's another young person who's there's that connection and bond that comes with it, and that is what we've been doing through Youthing magazine. That our tailor-made articles and our conversations, we normally have calls online just to talk about mental health and everything that is affecting us, knowing very well that in as much as yes, we are here to build value, we also need to know that besides that, there's the emotional bit of us where we need to take care of each other so that we can all be in that safe environment that we have to be in.
Can I add something? He said something about scheduling calls, and that's where the Youthing ambassadors comes in. So there's a last week I did like a wellness Sunday where we also got to get on a call, and then we talk about like how the week has been.
How are these calls? Are they via certain social media platform? Are they normal landline calls?
Okay, there's a bit of inclusion where we allow people to select whatever form of call they want or they're comfortable with. So whenever they decide if they want it to be like a WhatsApp call, we end up doing the WhatsApp call. If it's Google, they get to tell us what they want.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so this actually transitions to our next conversation very perfectly because I've seen most of these conversations are happening online and virtually, and also going the analytical kind of way. Most of your space is virtual than physical, which you are now getting into the physical space.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just a quick question. Or just let transition to how technology plays both in creating the challenges and the solutions to our mental health today. So, yeah, a bit of some technological plus innovation kind of conversation. And quick question is how do you see young Africans using technology, not just for fun, but to create impact in their communities? Have you got the question? Let me repeat the question. How do you see young Africans using technology, not just for fun, but in ways to that they are creating impact in their communities?
I'd say whatever we're doing right now, a podcast.
That was smooth.
Because we also get to talk about matters affecting the young people.
Yeah.
And here we are doing the same thing.
Okay.
I'd say one way that we are able to make impact and grow as young people is social media has given us an opportunity to meet like-minded individuals. Like you might be scrolling through social media or even online and see that there's another young person doing what you're passionate about, and they may be from another part of the world, but by virtue of you being or having goals that are aligning, you will be easier. It is easier for you to network, share ideas, exchange ideas, and see how much of a bigger impact you can make together. Yeah.
Okay. So, we're in Africa,
Yeah.
and in Africa we have the African Union, and the
Yeah.
African Union there's the Africa Agenda 2063. So, in line with the Agenda 2063, don't worry, it's not that hard. I know that term is a bit,
Yeah.
but okay. In line with the AU Youth Agenda 2063. There's a call for innovative and prosperous Africa, technologically wise. And so, just a quick question: how do you see these digital platforms helping youths to connect, to learn, and to lead? And more also on building up on the question, is how do you see young Africans using tech? Maybe you can, if possible, give a case scenario, not necessarily say names, but just in a creative way. How maybe you have seen youths using the technology and the digital spaces to not just survive, but to create, whether it's art, advocacy, or new ways of telling our stories. Like they're using these digital spaces and take innovative ways to bring a different kind of way to storytelling.
Okay.
Yeah.
To the first question on the Agenda 2063, through what youthing has done so far, we've been able to observe and we've seen a trend in that if we connect young people with a certain opportunity, a certain event, or we create, come up with our own event, we have noticed a pattern of, if we even see it for ourselves. You put somewhere in a space like we have an event, try and organize it. You'll find that there's passion and commitment that they throw to it. They do research about it. If for example, today we were handling one of our own members from our community. He has a vision of telling stories, but now they didn't have a place to now share the stories in the world, and that is where youthing was now coming in. And just by giving this young person an opportunity to publish their stories through our website, we agreed on a certain timeline that they'll be doing their stories, but we are no longer even following that timeline, because he has been using us, or even using our social media platforms to tell that which he is passionate about. And through that, and even through what using youthing is doing, we are raising innovators and people who will just build their own startups and do amazing things out here, from tech to agriculture to etc. Now, to how young people are using innovation and tech from outside. I have a friend who came up with a website for raising funds online. If you have maybe an event and you want to do a fundraising, go to that event, set the amount that you want to raise, and then share that link with others. Do a proposal, post it there, so that everyone, or even anyone who comes across that link or even that website, can be able to see that you're fundraising this amount of money for this particular initiative. So far, we've been able to raise this amount, and this is the deficit. So even pulling together resources, not just from Kenya, from Africa, even from the world. And that has been enabled by the use of technology and just being innovative.
Okay.
I feel like also people with the way technology is proceeding, people have access to it. Even those who are in rural areas, we get to keep it, because I believe we're supposed to also like start some other small communities linked to youthing, but we are able to access now those who are in rural areas.
In the most remote
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Okay, so winding up on our tech digital conversation, do you think the technology is building more resilience, or it's bringing and deepening the pressure more? And what digital practice would you recommend to the youths for their well-being?
I can say it does both.
Does both?
Yeah, because there's a bit of resilience in it, and then there's a bit of succumbing to the pressure that comes with social media, that comes with technology. So one way to balance it is by taking like the social breaks, where you do like a digital detox. And I feel like that's one thing a lot of young people should start doing more, and touch some grass. People should touch them.
Very nice.
I'd also say it's doing both. Number one, building resilience, in that, if you go online, you'll definitely find an opportunity that aligns with already what you've already built. And on the other side of adding up pressure, I was actually reading an article the other day, and where we are right now, the technology that we have is somewhat compared to the human brain. But where we are going, the technology that will come is even more advanced and will be able to function better than what the human brain is perceived to do. So yes, it's building resilience, but at the same time, we also are having these technological advancements that are building pressure and just challenging us as well to also try and be as authentic as possible while doing our things, while also aligning with the technological advancements.
Okay, so we've also seen youths using tech for activism,
Yeah.
digital spaces for activism. Case scenario very recent in Kenya and also in Africa. Very recent Togo, the North Africa guys, was it Algeria? Egypt. And so I just want us to take a short break. Then when we come back, we'll maybe talk about how these digital tools are changing our ways of showing up in politics and in governance.
Very nice.
Okay.
Back to our conversation, which will be now a bit more governance and advocacy. Using a more radical word, a bit political. And so, so as we were saying before we left, we were saying that now most youths are using tech and digital spaces for activism and to spread governance and political awareness. So yeah, this varies from digital campaigns on social medias to digital ads. And so just a quick question, how do you see these digital tools changing the way young people show up in politics and in governance?
Digital tools have shaped the way people show up in politics by, number one, creating awareness. There's a time when even the most complex language in quotes was easily broken down into information that was easily understandable and relatable. This digital space has created an environment where young people are aware of what's happening, not just in our country but also in the world. That right now, just by the click of a button, I can know what is happening in another part, not just even in our country, in another part of the world. I can be up to date with what is happening. Any new information that comes on board, I can be able to tap into it and leverage how I can use my skills and my value to make an impact out of it.
I'd add on to it and say I have a friend who does creative activism. He uses animation to portray like a certain information when it comes to politics. I feel like that's an interesting bit.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay, so one of you things strength is amplifying the youth's voice and
Yeah.
giving them something like a community.
Yeah.
And so in an age where politics can feel overwhelming and definitely toxic,
Yeah.
because we have
Yeah.
Very
a
toxic.
very famous quote on all saying of politics is dirty. So how do you see young people carving out spaces to be heard, irrespective of it maybe giving someone the feeling of toxicity or maybe it being overwhelming?
I've come to believe in the power of social media. And whether mainstream or when it comes to now media, whether mainstream or even digital media, the media has a power to shape a narrative and to bring out a certain character that will compel the masses to listen to and to follow. In this age of now digital media, what online has done is to amplify young people's voices through the use of hashtags, trends. Young people are able to speak out whatever they are going through. If you want to maybe speak about governance in the capital city of Kenya, use a hashtag that will be relatable to another person, whichever place they'll be in. Another thing that has been made possible by social media when it comes to giving young people a space is what you are doing right now, and what also you think has been doing through the calls that Kimi talked about. That we understand that there are very many important conversations that we need to have as young people, and we won't just wait for people older than us to create those spaces and those platforms for us to talk. We can create those platforms ourselves through podcast and anything that young people relate with easily. Yeah.
Okay, on bits to do with the toxicity that comes with politics, I'd say we have to normalize resting, where we get to do away with, we overindulge, and then the overindulgism, we end up consuming the wrong content or let's say the negative content. And whatever you feed your mind is how it will reflect with how you show up to the world. So I feel like if we are going to be doing some activism on matters to do with politics, we also have to also focus on our inner world as much as we want to take it out there.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So back to Africa and our AU and the Agenda 2063, which is the major focus for now in Africa.
Yeah.
I think it's aspiration 6 or 5, mostly 6, which says Africa development must be people driven, especially by the youth. And for us as YMCA, we also have a kind of a saying where we also have a vision 2030, and it's basically putting the young people on the driver's seat. So, how can young Africans move from being spectators back to referencing our saying in the Vision 2030, uh, bringing young people at the driver's seat? And there's also some other saying, we have a program on subject, it's called Subject to Citizens. So its main agenda is making youths more citizens than subjects, considering the whole colonial
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
So, quick question of just your 2 cents. How can young Africans move from being spectators or subjects in politics, in governance, in advocacy, to being active shapers, to being citizens of policies in the society?
Changing the narrative of
Changing.
what politics is, or what we are taught politics is.
Before we move on, I there was a podcast I was listening to. I don't want people to criticize me whatever I'm going to say. And this guy said that for most of us as Africans, we see politics or issues to do with governance the way we view sex in an African point of view. Yeah. So back to you.
Yeah, when I say narrative, because we are fed into the narrative that politics is for the few, especially the big guys in suits. That shouldn't be the narrative. We need to also realize that we are worthy of those seats that we want to, take part in, especially when it comes to representation. We need to also, put ourselves in spaces where we can get to represent ourselves. Because right now we're being represented by people who don't understand our struggles as a young nation.
Double our age.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to now young people moving from spectators to active citizens, the first thing will be to ensure that any conversation that is about young people without young people is not a conversation.
Yeah.
For long we've had conversations about young people. Young people moving forward, we should ensure that any conversation about young people that doesn't have young people at the center of it is not yet a complete conversation. And another way that we can ensure that we move from just being spectators to now active citizens is by ensuring that we take up positions where we see there is a gap. If you know that this and that is supposed to be done, yet it's not being done, don't do it for someone else to do it.
i.e. civic education.
Yeah. Take up that responsibility, enlighten others, and also do what you feel has not been done for the longest time. The last thing is creating spaces and platforms where we can challenge one another, build one another, and just create value as young people. And that is what Youthing has been doing for this whole time, ensuring that if there's a conversation that we need to have, let us not do it from external forces to do it for us. Let's sit down and have that conversation ourselves.
Yeah, 2 cents on that.
I think he said everything. And to add onto it, I'd say also not shying away from holding leaders accountable.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody needs to be held accountable for their deeds. And especially when it comes to our representation, if we aren't properly represented, we need to call them out for it.
Yeah.
There's no heaven for us. You're going to pay for your sins.
Very true.
Okay, so back to mental health and linking mental health with advocacy. So how, and in the beginning of our conversation, we also mentioned politics and governance thing can be a bit toxic and also overwhelming.
Yeah.
So maybe how can we create spaces for youths to create political awareness without maybe them getting burnt out, or maybe what are some of the techniques you can maybe give them to practice politics, governance, advocacy without them getting burnt out. Because also considering it's not something that we are doing 24/7 to bring bread on our table. It's just one of the sad things that we are doing. It's just that it's very important. If we neglect it, whatever we are doing, it's basically
when it comes to enlightening others about politics and governance, number one, politics and governance is a very broad topic. And the day we decide that we're not focusing on it is the day that we'll start counting our days to be over. But we need to strike a balance of, yes, we need to really focus on this, but to what extent, so that we ensure that we don't feel burnt out or anything. I feel, or not even I feel, the best way to approach this is to have a structure or even a system of how we will approach all this. If you're talking about leadership and governance and politics, let us create awareness campaigns, but in phases. So such that we can have phase 1 handling 1, 2, 3, 4, phase 2 handling 1, 2, 3, 4, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, where we feel that our vehicle has had a puncture. Let us stop, ensure that everything is working. We replace that tire, we ensure the headlights are working before we proceed to the next phase. In that way, we'll ensure that we've covered what is important for us to cover, while also ensuring that we take care of one another as we are doing all this.
Any 2 cents?
I'd say I'd add on to it what he said. When it comes to now prioritizing your well-being, I'd say we can also lighten up the mood by maybe being creative and fun about it, where we also get to incorporate maybe 2 memes here and there, maybe to, you see the stilettos. I mean, it's a funny way to,
Okay. Nice one. So, winding up on our conversation, what would you say to a 20-year-old, to a young adult who maybe feels that like politics or anything to do with governance and advocacy of good governance is not for them, and maybe who feel that their voices does not matter? Just maybe a quick advice, quick 2 cents, just quick quotes on your thought.
There's a story by the late Wangari Maathai of the hummingbird, which says there was a forest that was on fire, and there was this little hummingbird and there was an elephant. The elephant had the opportunity to go to the river, fetch a lot of water with its trunk, come out and extinguish fire in the forest, but it didn't do that. But the little hummingbird, with a lot of belief and courage and consistency, went to the river, fetched water with its little beak, and came and poured a drop into the fire. That continuous effort and consistency, by the end of it all, the fire was over in the forest. And I'd relate a 20-year-old as that little hummingbird. And sometimes we might think that our opinions don't matter or our efforts don't matter, but they do. That's what I tell a 20-year-old. That in as much as you may think that you're too small, you might be too small, but you're not too small to teach. You might be too young, but you're not too young to teach. You're not too young to share a value, share an idea, share a perspective that could change what we generally know. One narrative that has been pushed to us, and we even began doing it to ourselves, is believing that my opinion doesn't matter, so let me just keep it to myself. But that person whom I see on top of a very expensive vehicle, whatever they say counts. But I liked a perspective that former President Obama shared, that you might see these people as very smart and intelligent people, but once you share a table with them, you will actually discover that quite the opposite of what you thought. But this is our time. Right now things are changing with technology. There is a whole other way that things are changing, and the best people to handle and tackle that are young people. So your opinion matters. Being a 20-year-old doesn't mean that you don't have a place in what happens around you. You have a voice, that voice of a hummingbird. That effort that you may think is too little is actually very important and very rich to shape our country forward.
I'd add and say You need to be audacious. Audacious enough to know, yes, I can be in spaces where a lot of people deem as, not as accommodating as it is for a young person, or rather intimidating. So I feel like once you own up the courage to pursue or voice out whatever political view you have, especially on matters to do with your rights, be audacious and bold about it and let nobody shame you.
Okay, nice one. Thank you. So now winding up our conversation, just a closing reflection from you guys. If you were to imagine Africa 2063, definitely in line with Agenda 2063.
Yeah.
And also with the conversation that we've just had on mental well-being, digital empowerment, and political slash governance engagement, what would Africa 2063 look like for you? Without these things, hopefully, have been met and achieved.
A very interesting question. Africa in 2063. Right now, we have very many opinion shapers, thought leaders, innovators, people who have built things from scratch using their vision and their abilities. And one thing that I've actually from a personal point of view, I've met a lot of young people who are ready to take up leadership positions for the betterment of our country. They don't want anything else. They just want service to humanity. And Africa in 2063, with just young people being passionate about service, will be an Africa that one has reached its full potential as a continent. It will be an Africa where you won't have to go elsewhere to look for opportunities. You will create opportunities right where you are. It will be an Africa where we have young people who are bold, audacious, courageous, young people who just stand up, come up with solutions that will be generational, not just for when they'll be in office, but solutions that will impact generations and generations to come. One thing that I believe we have as a continent is the potential. We do have a lot of potential in our leaders that we have right now as young people, and in our potential as Africa to realize what you can even do better than what they've told us, or even keep in our minds that we can do as Africa.
Yeah.
I'd say in Africa where mental health is no longer a taboo. Yeah, and the perception towards mental health will be quite different, and that's where we'll have like a richer generation. Yeah, because we get to focus on our well-being, mental health spaces, making sure we're okay in all rounds, and also we get to also change the African narrative. We get to redefine it and rewrite our history.
Okay, so thank you guys for your time. Thank you for your insights. I really enjoyed the whole conversation. Very insightful. And yeah, so I'll share your socials on the description for anyone who maybe wants to check you out. Yeah. Nothing else from me. So for our listeners and viewers, until next time, adios.
Go ahead.
Goodbye.